Day 2 of gardening, and today I have another couple of things on my to-do list. Today I'm going to be planting some passion fruit, and this is not my first or my second or even the third passion fruit vine that I try to grow in the garden. This is actually the 4th one, so hopefully 4th time's a charm. The first one, well, I'll tell you about the other ones while we're planting this one. Let's go. Here we go. I'm gonna plant it right here. This is some papaya that I started from seed. And next to it, I have an empty 25-gallon container, which as you can see, has nothing. It used to have, hold on, is it set up on drip? Why is it so dry? Okay, calm down. Something knotted off. There's teeth marks right there. And then this was just completely chewed off. And I don't know where the other end goes to. This is what I've been dealing with lately. And I can't seem to catch the little butthole. The words in my head were much more colorful. I'm gonna chop it off right here and I'm going to patch it all up. Look at those teeth marks. There's more right there. And then they actually went through right here. To make a hole in the main line, I use this tool right here. It's from Rainbird. I bought it at Lowe's. It was like $15. I checked out and then I was like, what's the $15 charge for? And then I saw this and I was like, for that? But it's worth every penny. I love this for irrigation. It's the only thing I use because I just put the pipe right here and then it makes a hole for me, and then I'm able to make any really sharp cuts with this portion. Let me be clear though that if you do not have this tool or the ability to buy this tool, you do not need this tool. Prior to purchasing it, I was using my pruners. At times I was even using kitchen scissors. Use what you have, especially when you're first starting out gardening, because things can quickly add up and gardening doesn't have to be super expensive. I think I just saw some more bite damage. It's been gnawing through that. This is what I have my lights hooked up to. So I'm gonna set traps on here. Oh, and there's a piece of fruit right there. I'm so irritated right now with this thing. It just ruins everything. I'm not gonna let it ruin planting day because I've been waiting for forever. So let's just keep it moving. I'm gonna start by removing any dead or dried vines. And I'm also gonna take off any leftover tags that are still here. Oh my gosh, I can just feel how dry the soil is. If I dig in, look at that. No. So crumbly and dry. You can also see how the soil is pulling apart from the sides of the container over there, because it's just contracting. So I'm just gonna start pouring water in. You see? Oh man, that's still so dry. If it had enough moisture in here, all of this would have broken down by now. But as I keep digging, we're getting to a little bit more moisture at the bottom, but still not nearly enough. And I'm just gonna keep mixing it all in until I get all of the soil hydrated again. Oh my gosh, especially on the sides, because that turned really stiff. Dun, 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 dun. You see how the color is starting to come back into the soil? But I'm still gonna add just a little bit more. As you can see, it's several inches below the top of the container. That's just because soil settles over time. I'm gonna top it off. For this, I'm gonna use some Pro Mix. Dun, 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 dun. And I'm also gonna add sand, compost, fertilizer, and Azomite. And I might also add some mycorrhizae. So here I have some compost and some sand. The sand is just playground sand from Lowe's, Home Depot. It's like $5, $6 a bag. I remember when it used to be like $4 a bag. And this is compost from the Arizona worm farm. So I'm just gonna toss all of that in there, and then I'm gonna start mixing it in. Like I told you before, this is not the first, second, or third passion fruit vine that I plant. The first one I bought on Etsy, and I was so happy. It was like, what, $26, $27 after shipping. And in the mail came this teeny tiny little start. When I looked at it, I was like, what? For a long time now, I've wanted a passion fruit vine. And a few weeks ago, I ordered one from Etsy. When I first transplanted it, it only had this leaf left because it just went through a lot of damage. But this is brand new growth. And if I zoom in, you can see even more little leaves coming in. I really wanted a passion fruit vine, and it's the main reason I built this trellis right here. So I cannot wait for it to take over and then provide us with some delicious fruit. I was honestly a little bit shocked, but I was so optimistic that it would grow. And when I was amending the garden beds, I accidentally covered it in mulch, and that was the end of that one. I really messed up. So a few days ago, I amended the beds, added some more mulch in the form of hay. I was just trying to get it done as quickly as possible because I just wasn't feeling good, and I didn't realize that I actually put the hay and everything else on top of my passion fruit vine. And I just remembered right now, I went inside and I was like, wait, my vine, did I cover it? I came in here and I tried to dig through all of the hay and stuff to find it. This is what it looks like. Can't even see, this isn't even it. It's that one right there. This is what's left. What did I do? You could barely even see it anymore. It's just a stick. It was covered for a few days, I believe, but that was enough to completely wipe it out because it didn't really have much of a root system. It was just this tiny little thing. Then I replaced it with another passion fruit. Yesterday I was at Lowe's and I picked up another one. Look at this beauty. This is a Frederick Passion Fruit, and I bought it for $29.98. Look how beautiful. And I think this is going to be the perfect spot for it because it's going to get morning sun, afternoon shade. I'm going to plant my passion fruit. I'm going to plant my passion fruit over here. I wanted it more towards the center, but I already have things growing there. So I'm going to put it over here and then let it snake up and fill the entire trellis. Into the hole, I'm going to sprinkle some Azomite and worm castings. I'm also going to sprinkle in some mycorrhizae to help with root development. Sprinkle some on the roots over here as well. And let's set it in there. And then I'm going to add in my soil. Welcome to the garden, little guy. And it grew beautifully. It was actually growing right next to my bedroom window. But whenever I was dealing with rodents and their nests, I had to get rid of the containers. I felt like it was hard to clean behind them. And if I didn't, they were just going to keep multiplying. And they were starting to use the trellis and the vine as a way to go up and down. And I was scared that eventually they would go into the house. A few weeks ago, I came out here early in the morning and I saw something running down from the very top with a very long tail. The first thing I'm gonna have to do is cut down all of these vines and then transplant this passion fruit. Oh, so this Frederick Passion Fruit, I'm probably gonna cut it maybe up to here. No, just please don't make this harder than it has to be. Look at those roots. So when I removed that passion fruit, I decided to transplant it to this side of the yard. It didn't grow because I transplanted it during the hottest part of the year, during the scorching days of summer, and I didn't give it any sun protection. It was wiped out. It completely dried up. So I replaced it with Frederico el Segundo. I found this one at Lowe's and immediately I was like, yes, I'm taking it. And it actually has one fruit ripening right here. The nearest tropical nurseries for me are really far away, so I usually like to shop at Lowe's or Home Depot. And when it comes to tropicals, I pick them up whenever I find a really good deal. I'm not gonna do any talking just because I need to go pack, but let's do this. Shall we? Shall we? And the reason I'm planting them right now, usually I would like to do it in a much more calm manner, is because I'm gonna be gone for a week and I'm not gonna be able to water anything. And I already have the pots where they're gonna go ready with drip and everything, so that's gonna be a lot easier for me. let's talk about this right now. This is gonna bug me, but it's gonna be hell to try and pull this off of here. This was a shorter T-post, I think like a half a foot shorter, so that's why it looks like this. Second, this is the one that I tried to drive in using a mallet, which is why it's so crooked, versus this one where I use the T-post driver. But it should still be fine. Once the vine's growing, you won't be able to notice. Ah, my glove is done. Now back to focusing on the soil. I'm gonna top off the container with a little bit more soil, just because I want to add some more organic matter in there. And then once I add in all the soil, I'm gonna realize that I added too much soil, at which point I'll start removing soil. Okay, I think that should probably be good enough. Let me go get Frederico. I'm gonna take off the stake. Okay, there we go. Let's make sure our hole is clear of any debris. Okay, now it's time to start planting this little vine. Oh. Okay, I have my vine, so I'm gonna place it in here, and then I'm gonna backfill with the rest of this nice soil. I'm gonna start tying it up the trellis. And then some of these vines I can even start twirling around to get them used to this trellis, and then they'll start to find their way with the tendrils. And there is Frederico. Oh, it looks so cute. I tidied up a little bit around it, not perfectly. I'm gonna do that once I get back, but it's time for me to go pack. I'm just happy that these little plants are in their final destinations, and while I'm gone, I have that peace of mind that when I get back, they'll still be alive. And I thought that was gonna be the one. I thought third time's a charm, and it grew beautifully. It produced 2 fruit. This is this passion fruit now. It is so beautiful, and it's quickly taking over the trellis. It was growing very slowly during the winter months, but as soon as it started warming up, it started taking off like crazy. And the one that I had up against the house that got morning sun, afternoon shade, did really good, but it never put off fruit, even though it was there for a longer time. And I think that's just because it didn't have enough sunlight. I kind of want to propagate it and put it in other places of the yard just because it looks so pretty. But I still want it to get like thicker. I feel like there's still spots that are a little sparse, like right here. There was a while where there was a bunch of orange caterpillars that look kind of spiky on it. I haven't seen them in a while, but during the cooler months, I noticed several of them. So far, it's only had 3 blooms. The first one I left alone, hoping that maybe the bees would be able to pollinate it, or the butterflies, and we'd get some fruit, but then after a few days it dried up and fell off. So the next 2 blooms I decided to hand pollinate myself, and you can see the fruit right here. Look how big that is. And there's another one. I'm waiting for another bloom to open up, that way I can show you guys how to hand pollinate passion fruit, because it's a really cool and interesting flower, and things are in different places. I will say the vine itself is very vigorous, but it's also kind of messy. Look at this, like it starts putting shoots off everywhere. I think this is a vine that would be perfect for maybe some privacy fencing or something like that, where you can get edible fruit and then you can have a beautiful vine. And really, you might only need like 1 or 2, because these things get huge fast. Overall, it's doing really, really well. It's in a 15-gallon container, and the container looks tiny compared to the vine, but I think it's going to be happy for a while. Once it got really, really hot here in the low desert, the sun took it out as well. This was my Frederick Passion Fruit, and it's crispy. It's completely gone. This is the third one I plant. This was a replacement for another one that I transplanted last year that did not make it. And this one was looking so beautiful. It produced 2 fruit, but then the crazy heat took it out. So I'm gonna plant another one this fall, but I'm gonna put it in a different location. And I still have the dried vines on the trellis because I haven't had the time to take them down. But I'm planting it here this time around during the fall so that it has enough time to set down roots and start growing. And next year, I plan to set up shade cloth on this portion as well. That will hopefully keep it alive during the summer. and I wanted it here. That way I can start training it to go up the trellis. I'm optimistic that it will work. The first one didn't have a name. It was just purple passion fruit. The second one I named Frederick. The third one I named Frederico, and this one's just Fred. That texture looks great to me now. I want it to be very sandy. I want it to hold moisture, but I don't want it to become too clumpy. And it smells really good too. So next I'm gonna add some fertilizer, Azomite, and then I'll go try and find the mycorrhizae. I was looking for this cup to be able to grab the Azomite, and look at what I just found. This thing is in the garden again. Okay, hold on. Let me collect my breath. I'm trying to not let it get to me. I'm trying so hard to catch this thing, and people keep telling me to use sticky traps, but I feel bad using sticky traps. But I'm starting to not feel so bad right now because look at what I just found. Now, I take full responsibility of the fact that yesterday when I cleaned up the vines, I was supposed to bring all of this harvest inside, but I forgot because I had a lot on my to-do list. And right now I was looking for the cup, and look at this. That's fresh. That's look at those bite marks. And then there's all the stuff that it spit out, I guess. Everything else seems fine. This one cracked when it fell down. And I know I shouldn't have left anything on here, but I just completely forgot. And where is it hiding? Like, where is the nest? If I'm being frank with you, I don't even think the nest is in my garden. I think it was trying to build a nest over on this section, right there, because that's where all the missing tags were, and it was starting to collect a lot of leaves and twigs and mulch. These things are so smart, and they can hide in just about anything that maybe I just haven't found it yet, and it's infuriating me. It's driving me crazy. I literally think about it constantly. And whenever I finally let my guard down and I start thinking that maybe it just left, maybe it's moved on, maybe something happened to it and it died, it comes back. Okay. Anyways, let me keep going because I'm not gonna let that ruin my morning, and it's starting to right now. It's not gonna ruin planting day for me. Oh wait, so I didn't find the measuring cups. Hold on, where the hell is that thing? First, I'm gonna sprinkle some Azomite over the container. This is just supposed to help with bigger fruit, healthier plants, and that's exactly what I want from the passion fruit. And I'm also gonna sprinkle some Espoma Citrus Tone. I really like citrus tone for all of my fruit trees and vines, and I like buying the really big bags and stocking up whenever I see them on sale. That way I have them for the rest of the year. But I'm just gonna scratch that onto the very top. And then I can start digging my hole. I should probably scoop some back over here just so I don't make such a mess. Dun, dun, dun. So as you can see, it's still not as deep as the container, but I bet you anything, once I take this out of here, most of it is probably gonna be soil. So the first thing I'm doing is removing all of these little staples. And I bought this passion fruit at Lowe's for $36. And I wasn't even supposed to stop by that day. I'm supposed to be running some errands at the grocery store, but I had to stop by Lowe's just to see if they have some replacement plants. I'm looking for a pink tropic guava, and I'm looking for another passion fruit vine, and I don't see either of them here. Dang it. I lost mine during the summer, so I figured I'd just pop in here really quick and see if maybe they have some in stock, because I just noticed that Tractor Supply was starting to get more plants in as well, but I checked there, they didn't have any, and now I'm checking here. Triple crown thornless blackberry. I have one of these in the garden. I'm currently trying to get rid of my Rosboro blackberry plants, and I'm replacing them with thornless varieties because this is where it's at. That's what I would recommend versus getting a thorn variety and then just choosing one that performs well in your area. Ganache fig. I have a lot of fig trees, so I don't need any of those. This is a pineapple guava. I have a Coolidge variety of that one. And then these are more like birds of paradise, right? Yep, birds of paradise. Babok peach. I don't remember exactly this variety, but if I'm not mistaken, I think the flesh inside is white. I have two different varieties of peaches in my garden, the Desert Gold, and both are good, but I like the Florida Prince better. Wait, Frederick Passion Fruit. Oh, you're coming home with me. It's only one. Shut up. Mine was taken out by the summer sun this year, so I've been looking for a replacement to plant over the fall in a different location because I'm not giving up until I'm able to grow this plant successfully because it's gorgeous. The fruit is so tropical and amazing, and I can then propagate it and give it to friends and family. And then this is a persimmon. No. I'm taking this guy. I knew I was supposed to stop by today. I also wanted to look at seeds, but I didn't even grab a cart because truthfully, I didn't think I would find anything. Oh my God, I'm so excited. $35. Oh my God. Next, I can start taking off the stakes that I came with because that's just gonna make it easier for me to transplant. The only thing is, the moment I take this one off, the vine itself is probably just gonna fall over. Time to remove the last stake. Oh, which is already starting to break actually. And there we have the vine. The soil that it comes with is also very sandy. I like that. But look. Oh, I saw a green tag. Where is it? Oh, right here. Green tag. I'm already halfway down the container and there's still not a whole lot of roots showing, and all of that was just soil. So that's what I usually find with plants that I buy at the nursery is oftentimes I buy a lot of soil. You see? So that's why I'm not super worried about how deep I dig my hole, because more often than not, the roots are actually a lot smaller than the container itself. But now I need to make room again. So let me scoop some of these out. And then I shimmy it out. Yeah, in no way, shape, or form did I shimmy that out. Dude, I totally just dumped that out. This is what the roots actually look like. But it's fine, it'll survive. Basically what's gonna happen is I know that I planted it all the way up here, but I'm gonna mound up the soil now because over the next year, all of this is gonna settle down and it's gonna compact a little bit. Some of the stuff in there is gonna break up, and then it'll be level with the top of the container. Oh shoot, I didn't even put any mycorrhizae, but it's fine. You can't even tell anymore that I accidentally dumped everything out. And plants are so resilient. They want to live, they want to survive. And then I'm patting it in. Now I can just take my line of drip irrigation is this one right here. I want to make sure that it's on, and I just need to take some of the garden staples and put it back into place. This is my favorite way to irrigate containers, especially all these round containers. In the past, I've tried fan emitters, the little sprinkler emitters, and I had some spots that were really, really wet and other spots that were bone dry. And this way, I have slow drip irrigation that waters everything evenly. And there we have it. The last thing I need to do is to buy some mulch so that I can mulch the top of this. Now that the passion fruit is planted, I'm not gonna water it in right now because in a few hours, the irrigation's gonna come on and it should get water that way. But what I am gonna do is start training it to go up this trellis that's made out of cattle panel. Before I do that, I need to get rid of the loofah vines that I had here that unfortunately did not make it. I still have a few that are hanging in there, but I had a vine actually planted in that 25-gallon, and I was wondering why it dried up all of a sudden. So it's probably because it wasn't getting water anymore. That is so frustrating, especially because at one point it was producing a ton of flowers. Then all of a sudden it started declining very fast, and next thing I knew, it was all dried up. Something else that you might notice on growing on this trellis right now is blackberries. Ah! These are the Triple Crown thornless blackberries. And my plan is to train some of these canes to go up the sides of the trellis. And they're in a 25-gallon container, so I'm also going to be planting annuals around them. That's where it came from. As I was planting the passion fruit, I just kept trying to rack my brain, like, where's the other end of the tubing? If the rat bit through that one, there should be another end with a hole in it. And I remember that several weeks ago, like sometime last month, I believe. Yeah, sometime last month, I was showing some of my in-laws a little tour of the garden, and the irrigation went off, and all of a sudden I started hearing water gushing. And I was walking over here showing them some of the citrus trees. I glanced over and the other piece of the irrigation was there squirting water out, and that's why there's a patch right there. Let me show you this patch, because it was bitten down almost all the way to the bottom, like down to where the connector is. So I just made a cut and patched it up with another connector. So that's why I couldn't find it. And that was a while ago, so it hasn't had water since then. There's still a couple of dried up leaves, but I think that'll be easier to take down once the vine is done, but the vine is not done. It's still giving me some loofah. I'm just gonna focus on tying up the passion fruit. This is the butcher's twine that I like to use. I buy it on Amazon in a pack of 3. And then I just cut off little ends and use them to tie up all of my vines. And then at the end of the season, whenever I take the vines down, I just compost this. These vines are super intertwined, but I'm gonna try and spread them out to get them to start filling out the trellis. And they're grown super tight together because they were wrapped around the pole. So I'm just untangling them gently. Hello, Fred. Welcome to your new home. Okay, just like that. And then I make little knots. I don't tie them too tightly. I want them to have a little bit of give, but I do want to make sure that they are attached to the trellis. And then as it continues growing, I keep coming out here and just maneuvering the vines around until I'm happy with their placement. And this vine is more than capable of taking over this entire trellis. So I'm just gonna let it. And there it is. There's Fred. Beautiful. Right now it doesn't look like a whole lot, but just give it like 2 or 3 weeks and in no time it's gonna start just whoosh, weaving itself throughout the entire trellis. But I'm not done yet, because now that I've done the fun part, I need to make sure I clean up after myself, because little messes like this can quickly build up, and before I know it, the whole garden is a disaster again. So I'm gonna use the next few minutes to tidy up this whole area. I'm gonna pick up most of the large pieces because I'm gonna come in with a leaf blower and a leaf vacuum to pick up all the small pieces. I had a couple leaves that fell on the sides of the containers over here, so I'm gonna try and leaf blow everything to the center so that I can just vacuum it up. And I have earmuffs on because this can get pretty loud, and I put the cats inside so they don't get scared. looks pretty good. Next, I'm gonna start vacuuming. By the way, this tool is from Walmart. It's a hyper tough blower and leaf vacuum. Now I need to connect this. Hold on. Now I'm gonna connect the bag. This has made cleaning up the garden so much easier because I used to leaf blow everything as best as I could off to one side of the yard, and then I would try and pick it up. But now I just have to leaf blow it to the middle and then go through and pick it up using this. That's much better. There's times when I have the too much gene and I want to pick up every single little speck of leaf matter, but I'll do that whenever I do another deep cleaning. For now, this area is tidy enough and I'm happy with the way it looks. Wow. We're gonna get some good citrus. So this project is finally done. For now, am I hopeful that this time will be the time that I successfully grow passion fruit in the low desert of Arizona? Of course. As a gardener, anytime I plant a seed or transplant a vine or tree, I wish with all my heart that it will survive and live happily ever after in serendipity. But that's not always the case. I've been heartbroken hundreds of times since planting this garden. And I've lost count of the number of times I've felt like a failure, but I'm not. It took me 3 years to finally understand that every plant that doesn't work out is part of the learning journey of being a gardener. Randy Posh explained it perfectly when he said, "Experience is what you get when you didn't get what you wanted. And experience is often the most valuable thing you have to offer."